You can sit anywhere you like. Before we start, could I get everybody to silence or turn off your cell phones? Thank you. Good morning, everybody. I'm Robert St. John. I'm the post commander here for 912. With us here today, we have the American Legion Auxiliary Unit 912 members and their president, Amber St. John. We also have our Sons of the American Legion Squadron 912 members with their commander, Ben Arno. We have Veterans of Foreign Wars members and their commander, Cliff Sterling. And also this morning, we have Caleb Trombley, who's going to be doing the taps for us at the end of our ceremony when we go out to do the firing, to pay tribute to those veterans that are no longer with us. If I could get everybody to please rise and remove your hats. O God of hosts, we bow our heads in thankfulness for the victories thou hast granted us. To us and to those people who have united with us to stamp out the evils of aggression, intolerance, and greed. Grant us too, O Lord, the courage to live with the family of nations around the world, that the end of strife will be the beginning of enduring peace. Grant us patience in planning with our fellow men and women a world in which nations may resolve their differences by peaceful meanings. Grant us now thy continued blessing upon unity and strength that makes victories possible in war, that we may win greater victories of peace. Amen. You may be seated, but please stay uncovered for our POW MIA recognition. You may notice this small table here in place of honor. This table is our way of symbolizing that members of our profession of arms are missing from our midst. They are commonly called POWs or MIAs. We call them brothers and sisters. The table is smaller than the others, symbolizing the frailty of one prisoner against his or her oppressors. The round table shows our concern for them is never ending. The white tablecloth draped over the table represents the purity of their response to their country's call to arms. The empty chair depicts an unknown face, representing no specific soldier, sailor, airman, or marine, but all who are not here with us. The black napkin stands for the emptiness these warriors have left in the hearts of their families and friends. The single red rose reminds us of their families and loved ones. The red ribbon around the vase represents the love of our country, which inspired them to answer the nation's call. The candle and its yellow ribbon symbolize the everlasting hope for a joyous reunion with those yet unaccounted for. The slice of lemon on the plate reminds us of their bitter fate. The salt upon the plate represents the family's tears as they wait. The inverted wine glass reminds us that our distinguished comrades cannot be with us to drink a toast or join in the festivities of today. The American flag reminds us that many of them may never return, and they have paid the supreme sacrifice to ensure our freedom. You may recover. On this Veterans Day, we are commemorating the service of veterans of all wars. We remember how men and women set aside their civilian pursuits to serve their nation's cause, defending the freedom of mankind and preserving our precious American heritage. We believe our strength on the field of battle, on the supply lines which nourished our armed might, lay in the justice of the cause against the forces of evil. We believe our determination made us better warriors because we fought with our minds and our hearts as well as our bodies. We recognize service to our country, and her cause does not end with the termination of military service. We continue our endeavors in behalf of an honorable world peace with a feeling of profound gratitude to God and to the men and women who gave their lives as they're part of the cost of this noblest of causes. Out of blood and sweat, we learned of purpose, sacrifice, tolerance, bravery, and discipline. These are solid foundation stones upon which a great nation is built. In our continuing quest for an honorable world peace, we must cultivate these virtues. This time, if the auxiliary president would please come up for reading.
The waging of war involves more than just the combatants who fight to the death on the field of battle. The fighting forces begin at the fireside and in the hometowns. The repercussions of war's terrible brutality have chilled the heart and dimmed the hopes and dreams of many a loved one left behind at the home front. While the horrors of the battlefield may not have been our experience, we have lived in the terrifying loneliness created to answer an aggressor's challenge. In waging war, we have moved forward with a unity of purpose, which made us strong, forgetting pettiness, egotism, and pride. Our hearts beat in tune with those in other nations fighting for the freedoms and dignity and opportunity of mankind. In our constant quest for an honorable world peace, there is need for a unity of purpose if we truly are to move toward a brighter tomorrow.
Thank you. We'll now have Commander of the VFW with a reading.
If there be glory in war, it is the almost incredible spirit which is engendered. Those who offer their life sacrifice their all with magnificent abandon. Heroism becomes contagious. Yet, too, in a warfare, greed and brutality are expendable. Too often is there these laters which persist in the peace that falls. Let us strive to see the same spirit of self-sacrifice is cultivated in peace as it has been exhibited in war. It behooves us to rear new standards of success, to inspire youth in peace as youth was inspired in war. Public honor must be given where public honor is due, not to be manipulated or marketed, the seeker after profit, power, or position, but rather let us honor those heroes of science who elevated human suffering and carried to greater heights the standards of civilization. Let us honor those who in public service seek not how much they may secure from the nation, but how much it can give. Let us honor those who devote their lives in that education which will lead our children on to live and laugh and learn and love as we have only dreamed in doing. Let us honor those veterans who carry into ordinary affairs of life a noble idealism and sincere captivity for self-devotion. Let us translate the devotion of war into a devotion of peace. Let us will to live as well as die for our country.
We're going to have one of our women veterans come forward for the reading.
The hurts of war fall alike upon those who wear the same uniform, no matter how they may differ in race, creed, or culture. Those who fight together suffer together to achieve a common aim. In the similarity of battle dress, there is a common denominator, the common purpose, the sharing of danger and suffering, which brings in time of war a tolerance which adds strength to the cause. As we put aside the brown and blue and green fabrics that made us one people on the battlefields, we can hold in our minds that tolerance we have achieved. In tolerance, there is progress, progress toward a better and a happier world.
Thank you. In time of peace, we can use the ennobling virtues of war and put behind us its ugliness and suffering. In peace, we shall go forward, together, to scale new heights of achievement in unity of purpose, in sacrifice for the common good, in tolerance for those of different faiths and creeds, in bravery to fight for social and economic gains, and in the discipline of good citizenship. We shall move forward in the sight of God as a strong nation in a peaceful world. It is truly an honor to join with you today as we recognize all of America's veterans, all of the soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines, and Coast Guardsmen who have selfishly gone wherever they were called on to serve. This Veterans Day has extra meaning, as 100 years ago, on the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month in 1918, the Great War, the war to end all wars, finally ended. Originally created in recognition of the end of World War I, the first Veterans Day was observed on November 11th, 1921, at Arlington National Cemetery, and was marked by the burial of the unknown soldier from World War I. Even nearly 100 years later, as we gather to reflect on those who have fought to preserve the freedoms every American enjoys, there are thousands of men and women in our military, once again, taking up arms against the enemies of our way of life. Like generations of patriots who came before them, these few shoulder the burden for many. They serve because they know it is necessary for the greater good. Now more than ever, it's important that we take the time to thank the men and women who selfishly sacrifice to serve in our armed forces. It is because of their dedication and sacrifice that we celebrate Veterans Day, to recognize and honor all those who have placed country above self, who have determined the safety and security of others as more important than their own, and who have done their duty by taking their place in line, just as generations of military men and women have done before them. To those of us who have worn or continue to wear the uniform of our great country, and to our family members who stand just as strong at home, there is no doubt that Veterans Day brings with it a meaningful significance. To every American veteran, Veterans Day means more than just a federal holiday. It is on this day that we honor the contributions and sacrifices of the more than 22 million veterans and service members who have proudly served our country, and all those who have paid the ultimate sacrifice in the name of liberty and justice. Every generation of Americans undoubtedly owes a debt of gratitude to these brave patriots, and we must do everything we can to make sure the men and women who serve in today's and tomorrow's military receive what they need to accomplish their mission of safeguarding America's interests. As an organization comprised solely upon people who have been there ourselves, we are well prepared. As circumstance and necessity demands, our military stands ready to do whatever is needed to defend our nation, just as we at the American Legion and VFW stand ready to provide them with the support and assistance they need long after their service is over. Our men and women in uniform today share the same military ideas and experiences of yesterday's veterans. They chose to serve because they have a common belief in a cause higher than themselves and a shared sense of duty. They willingly assume all risks associated with maintaining our freedoms and liberties and preserving the ideals of democracy. More than anyone, veterans understand the real meaning of America. Maintaining the strength of American ideals requires courage, constant vigilance, as well as sacrifice. There should be no doubt that without the sacrifice of our veterans, without their love and dedication of spirit, tyrants and evil would prevail. If we could make any demand, I would demand that my fellow citizens grant our keepers of peace and protectors of our freedoms, our veterans, with care and respect they so richly and rightfully deserve. Those of us who care to honor America's heroes gather because we are honoring our sons and daughters, our mothers and fathers, and our brothers and sisters who are serving on behalf of everyone in our great country. Just like the generations of American patriots did before them. Time and again, our country has confronted countless challenges, and I know we will face many more in the days and years ahead. But the citizens of our great nation can rest assured that our values and freedom are being fearlessly guarded by a greatly determined and highly dedicated military. Gallant soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines, and Coast Guardsmen who willingly bear the cost of America's wars and continue to stand watch over America's peace. For every single man and woman who has donned a U.S. military uniform by virtue of their service and sacrifice, today is their day to stand tall and be recognized by a grateful nation. It is also a day to recognize the families of these men and women as they have had and continue to live each day without their loved ones by their side, helping to keep the family unity. Today and every day, we must take the opportunity to keep alive the memories, sacrifices, and accomplishments of our nation's veterans. And we must embrace every occasion to educate future generations, the public, and elected officials on the accomplishments, importance, and needs of our nation's veterans. I hope as we leave here today, each of us will be motivated and inspired by the deeds and accomplishments of patriots, past and present. I hope this motivation will help lead us into a brighter future, armed with a renewed sense of patriotism and purpose. We must remain committed to a stronger nation and to our veterans, for it is our veterans who have sacrificed and paid the highest price for all of us. Thank you. At this time, we will have the 9112 Honor Guard, the SAL Color Guard, and the Auxiliary to well into the parking lot. We will be firing off a tribute to our veterans that are no longer with us, and Caleb will be playing taps for us after the firing. You're all welcome to go outside if you would like. If not, you can stay in here where it's warm. Thank you.
Chapeau. I know. I got everything else.
Commander, honor our departed brothers and sisters. Ladies and gentlemen, this now concludes our ceremony. You're welcome to come inside for soup and sandwich. Thank you for attending.
I didn't see it, no. Yeah, we let the dog out last night, there was no snow in the steps.
It might have snowed after dark. I don't know. I didn't see it, I understand it snowed the night before. Well, that's for sure. I didn't see